G'day. So, you want to know who I am? What I know? How I came to know it? And maybe why is that, no, not that one, this one, no, that one. What? Why is this finger blue and that thumb? Maybe I'll tell you. Maybe I won't. But we're not here to talk about blue thumbs, so let's get on with it. That's right. If you were paying attention, you would have figured out by now that I'm an Aussie, because I come from a land down under, just like the song. I now live in Thailand and have for the last 14 and a half years. But that's not where the story began. The story begins when I left high school at the age of 14. I really wanted to be a fitter and turner. But back then, in the mid-70s, there weren't so many apprenticeships available. And I actually got a job at a repetition machine shop for one of the worst employers I've ever worked for in my life. And I didn't last long, a few months, and he refused to indenture me and take me on as an apprentice, so I left. I then went and worked at an engineering supply company for quite a while, until I wasn't getting along with the females that worked there. And my father, who was a motor mechanic by trade and had his own business, and had always told me that he would never allow me to be a motor mechanic, came home one night and said, "Son, how would you like to be a motor mechanic?" Well, when I finished laughing and he calmed down a little, he explained that he was getting on because he started late in life, and maybe I'd like to take over the workshop someday. Well, as a 15-year-old, that was very, very enticing. So I went to work with my father as an indentured apprentice motor mechanic. I stayed there until he had to move his workshop and decided that he was getting too old and couldn't be bothered, and I transferred my indentures across the road to a Honda car dealership where I finished my apprenticeship. That is a long story in itself, but I'm not going to go into it too far. I ended up the workshop manager of that dealership when I was 21 years old. Got married, came back from my honeymoon, and about 2 weeks after I got back, I was sitting in my office one day, and in walked these guys, pulled all the roller doors down, and told everybody, "Pack your shit, you're out of here." What's going on? I thought, it's the receivers. Someone's not been paying their bills. And they just locked the joint up and kicked us all out, and suddenly I'm out of work. What am I supposed to do? Freshly married. That's right, got a ring on this finger. Not now, I don't wear them anymore after it nearly tore my finger off one day, but that's another story in itself. So I started my own workshop, and I was to work on Hondas and any other damn thing I felt like working on at the time, or could make money out of fixing. Somewhere along the line, I decided there's no money in getting your hands dirty all day. So I decided the only way to make money was to sell stuff. That's right, sell things. So I looked at the choices, and in the end I decided on life insurance. That's right, life insurance. I sold life insurance for a couple of years, along with car insurance and house insurance and all that other stuff. But the yearning to make things and fix things sort of got to me, and I wasn't liking selling life insurance. So I went looking for a better job. I ended up working for an automotive parts and accessories distributor, but that only lasted for 3 months because I was away from home too often. 2 weeks out of every month I was away from home, driving thousands of kilometres. Not on. I decided that's not on. So I went looking for something better, and I found another job with a company called Symes Engineering in Australia, selling brass fittings, hose and tube fittings, nylon tubing, ball valves, all that sort of stuff. Now, somewhere along the line, the three big companies in Australia all ended up being merged together after Imperial Metal Industries that I work for started buying up everybody else. So I decided I'd go out and start my own business. After the last merger, or the second last merger, I went looking for a partner at one of the companies that had been purchased, and put my head on the chopping block by speaking to what I considered to be the boss's blue-eyed boy. He told me something that I didn't know and informed me that the third and last company in Australia was about to be bought by IMI as well. So we decided that my idea to start our own business sounded even better. So off we went, and we started industrial fitting sales. Wholesalers originally of automotive and industrial, brassware, stainless steel fittings, hose and tube, ball valves, all that sort of stuff. Eventually we decided to make our own. Now, my partner was a carpenter. I had an engineering / mechanical background, so I set about setting up a workshop, a machine shop, a repetition machine shop to make brass fittings. It was part-time initially while I was still out repping on the road, but as we got more employees and more staff, I went to the workshop full-time, and I spent the next 10 years building up the workshop and turning brass raw material into brass fittings and scrap. Lots of scrap. By the time I finished, we were purchasing around 22 metric tons of raw brass stock every 2 months, and producing about 11 tons of scrap in the process. In my mid-40s, after working 90 to 100 hours a week a lot of the time building up this factory, I decided enough is enough, and I retired. Oh, what a relief. I decided I didn't want to be the richest man in the cemetery, sold my half of the business to my partner, and just retired. A little while later, one of my associates from the machine shop days asked me if I'd like to go to Thailand and play golf. So I came here to Thailand. What an eye-opener. I liked what I saw so much. Within 12 months, I packed up and moved here, and I've been here now, as I said, for 14 and a half years. So that's it. That's my background. Started out as a motor mechanic, ended up as what I really wanted to do when I left school, a machinist. Well, I wasn't doing much machining, I was doing all the production planning. But that's it. That's what happened. That's where I come from, and that's my background. Hope you enjoyed that. Oh, the blue finger. You want to know where that came from? Well, I bought a new printer, and I put the old one on a chair over there, and the tanks broke off and spilled ink all over the floor and all down the wall. So my Thai wife, who likes to complain about everything, went crazy about it, and I had to clean it up, and that's where this came from. So now you know. All right, till next time, that's it for me. Bye. Don't forget to press that like button and subscribe to stay up to date with me. Bye-bye.